your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, but I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right, and we are here with our second episode of Mike's Mechanics. There he is, the old lefty, the old 2-9er. Well, not old lefty, the old lefty. Just
no D, apostrophe.
And the baseball that was made famous on TV. This is the same baseball.
This is it
that you use. This is your prop baseball.
This is my paperweight. But we're also talking pitching. And if you go back to any of those broadcasts, a lot of times when I was talking pitching, had the baseball in my hand.
There it is.
Here we go.
Behind the scenes with Mike Stanton.
Still flipping.
Exactly. Still flipping it, still spinning it, right?
Right.
But someone who is spinning the baseball really, really well for the Houston Astros, Jason Alexander. I mean, this is a guy that comes to the team with a true journeyman's record. You know, you and I were talking before we started recording how you had said he is the consummate journeyman.
Oh, man. Definition of a journeyman. I mean, you're talking about a guy, came out of college, I think, University of California, Long Beach, was drafted by the Angels, released, signed with the Brewers, released. And this just kept going and going until he got to 2025. Now, he didn't pitch in the big leagues. The only team he's pitched in the big leagues with, other than the Athletics this year and the Astros this year, is the Milwaukee Brewers back in 22. So he went 3 years without pitching in the big leagues. Didn't pitch all that well as a Brewer, and tell you the truth, earlier this season didn't pitch well as an Athletic. The Astros got him for they didn't even have to trade anything for him. I think they got him for just money. They claimed him off waivers, and my goodness, has he kind of figured it out once he's got here in Houston. He has been just about as important as anyone in that rotation other than the top two, which is Fromber and Hunter Brown.
Let me tell you, when you look at his 4-1 record, his 38 strikeouts and 49 innings pitched, you look at him across the board, you don't go, oh, wow, this guy must be really good. But when he's on the mound, he gets the job done. And, a lot of times as baseball fans, or, we become baseball evaluators, the armchair quarterbacks. If a guy doesn't average, 9 or 10 Ks per 9, or he doesn't have certain numbers that people deem as successful, we're just like, he's just an average pitcher. But he's taken an opportunity and being bounced around and not really getting a whole lot of opportunity in the big leagues on a team that finds itself still in first place despite their offensive woes, and finds himself as a guy, Mike, that I really feel like could possibly work his way into a playoff rotation. If you go to a 7-game series, he definitely has to at least be in the conversation.
Well, to tell you the truth, you hope not. And this is not against Jason Alexander. You know who the top two are going to be.
Right.
And the Astros, if Jason Alexander is in the rotation, that means Christian Javier isn't in the rotation. Or, maybe Javier is, but Lance McCullers Jr., who is in rehab right now, or one of the other guys. You just don't know. Spencer Arrighetti. There's a number of guys that are on that list, but he has definitely pitched good enough to be in that conversation. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has 8 appearances, 7 starts, has a 2.72 ERA as a Houston Astros, which, by the way, is, 2.5 runs, almost three, maybe 3 runs less than any other time he's pitched in Major League Baseball. And, one of the things, you look at, I mean, you're talking about a 32-year-old. You're not talking about a guy that's in the prime of his career. He's more towards the middle or even towards the end. But what he's really done is he's cut down his walk rate. He's striking out about the same number of guys. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he is unique. And the Astros have always been an organization that has kind of prided themselves in not having the same type pitcher, whether it's in the bullpen or the rotation. He is right-handed. He doesn't throw hard. I mean, you're talking about a below average fastball, averages about 91 miles an hour. Big league average is a little bit harder than that. And he really only has one pitch that is a plus pitch, and that is his changeup. And he throws his changeup a lot. And the other unique feature that he has is there's not very many sinker ball pitchers, especially right-handed sinker ball pitchers in Major League Baseball. But Jason is one of them. And we saw last night, he got in a little bit of trouble there in Baltimore early in the game, was getting the sinker up, a couple hard hit balls, went to the changeup to get himself out of trouble. And I think the maturity just showed right there that, you move the ball around, you change speeds. If you have a plus pitch, use it as much as you can. I mean, usually you say, okay, well, you have to throw some fastballs to throw a changeup. So a changeup is changing off of something, but you know what? You just keep throwing your best pitch, and chances are you're going to get some weak contact. And that's what we've seen. I think he's done a remarkable job of knowing what his strong suit is,
right,
and sticking with it and not changing the game plan.
Yeah, so he's thrown 32.3% of his pitches on the changeup. 38.3% of his pitches are sinkers.
Which is, you got to remember, the sinker, that's his fastball. He does throw a 4-seam fastball. He doesn't throw very many of them. But you got to remember, so if he's only throwing less than 40% 2-seam fastballs, his fastball, that means there's 60% as everything else. And that is the trend in Major League Baseball now. Yeah, everyone spins the ball. And everyone is throwing off-speed pitches. Why? Because it doesn't matter how hard you throw. If you throw the fastball in the strike zone, hitters are going to be able to catch up.
Right. Now, on his changeup, he has his most it appears to be his most success, where he's got a 41.4% whiff rate, which is pretty good. Now,
it's very good, especially for a guy that's not out there throwing 97, 98, 100 miles an hour.
Now, his 4-seam, like you said, not his main pitch, 25.8%. That's his second highest whiff rate. But my question to you is this: when I'm looking at his 4-seamer, and I love looking at Baseball Savant because I love looking at the heat maps, it seems like that 4-seamer might be susceptible to being hit out of the ballpark because it's up in the zone.
Well, I listen. The reason there's a high whiff rate on it is because, he throws a lot of 2-seam fastballs. He throws a lot of sinkers. His changeup has drop. His sweeper, it's not just a horizontal break. It's also a little bit of a vertical break. So everything he has, gravity is helping. The ball is going down. And so when he throws the 4-seam fastball, and the 4-seam fastball is hopefully at the top of the zone. It's a touch harder than his 2-seam, not much, but it doesn't have the sink. So now you have, even though if they're similar velocities, you have the sinker that's sinking and the 4-seamer that's riding. So now you have 2 different pitches. But he's only thrown this year. Now, this is all pitches this year. This isn't just as a Houston Astro. He's only thrown 11% of his pitches have been a 4-seam fastball. It's not really a pitch that he relies on. He's a sinker, changeup, and sweeper type pitcher, which means he's got everything going, east and west and south.
Yeah, exactly. So with a guy like this who really hasn't done much of hardly anything at his age, is there almost no pressure on someone like him? Or do you think he feels an intense amount of pressure because he's still trying to prove himself? I mean, Where do you think, of course, without talking to him individually, and I'm asking you to dissect what he's thinking, but
Yeah.
what is the most likely position he's in mentally coming into this when he gets signed with the Astros and he starts having some pretty decent success?
Well, I think that yes, there's pressure on him, but what is the pressure, and who is putting the pressure on him? He's putting the pressure on himself. I mean, the Astros brought him in. You want to talk about a situation you're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle. The guy threw like 4 big league innings before he came to the Astros this year, and he didn't throw the ball well as an athletic. But the Astros saw something, and they brought him over here and gave him a chance. So that pressure that he feels is self-imposed. I mean, he's 32 years old. He knows that he doesn't really know how many more opportunities he's going to have like this, and he has definitely capitalized and shown that he can get big league hitters out. Listen, is he a middle of the rotation arm? No. Is he a top of the rotation arm? No. He's a back end of the rotation guy, but he's still a guy that is getting weak contact. He's got a high ground ball rate, which you like. You're using your defense. He's throwing the ball in the strike zone. So he's showing that there is some real value in Jason Alexander, even if he's not out there lighting up the radar gun.
Right. But in August, he's having in August here, he is, looks like he's 3-0. I'm sorry. He was 3-0 in July. We don't have his August numbers yet. He had 18 strikeouts.
Yeah.
His ERA, and I know everybody's like, well, ERA is not the standard anymore, but his ERA started at like 18. I mean, it was really high. Now it's down to 4.59. I mean,
yeah, and that's not an indicator. That's why the number that I used was what he's done with the Houston Astros, which is a 2.7. 2.7 is outstanding.
Yeah.
And so again, you're talking about a guy that, maybe a little longer in the tooth than some other guys, but there's also there's a lot of experience. There's a lot of trials and tribulations that he's had to go through that I think is helping him capitalize on this opportunity he has right here. So hopefully he keeps going. What his job is to eat up as many as he can, win as many ball games as you can. But when you get to the postseason, and should we say if? No, we'll say when. We'll say when they get to the postseason, his job is to make the decision to leave him out of the rotation as hard as possible. And he's doing that. He's doing a pretty good job right now.
Right. And, I think in a shorter series, a 5-game series, maybe they're least likely to put him.
Right. Because you're going to use 3 starters.
Right. And at the end of the day, and I think because in my opening comment, it's not my expectation that he is that guy. I just think that he's done enough. And like you said, to make the decision, at least go in the direction, go, okay, guys, hold up. We do have Jason Alexander, and he has had success versus the Yankees. He has had success versus really good teams. I mean,
that's one of the things in the playoffs that you're really looking at. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, you did.
Is that it's not just who were your best pitchers. One of the things in this day and age of analytics and numbers and matchups and all this, you look to see, has he had success against a certain lineup? Has he had more success against right-handers or left-handers?
Yeah.
How has he pitched on the road? How has he pitched at home against these guys? So all that goes into the equation to figure out who the rotation is. It's not just, listen, I was just in Atlanta celebrating the 1995 World Championship team. And it was a blast. We had a good time. You don't have that rotation. You don't have Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz at the top of your road, the top of, 3 Hall of Famers. That was a pretty easy situation to at least pick who your starters were going to be. And the crazy thing was the guy that had the least stuff on that staff was actually the World Series MVP that year. And that was Tom Glavine.
Wow.
Hall of Famer, but Maddox could carve you up, and Maddox still threw the ball. He threw harder than you thought he did. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was very deceptive for sure.
Well, I mean, when he came up, he was a low mid-90s guy. When he was winning Cy Youngs, he's throwing in the low 90s. And Smoltz was, had some of the best stuff in the league. So, those were, those were the guys you had at the top of the rotation. And, the Astros, unfortunately, are looking for that. They have two pretty good ones at the top in Hunter Brown and Fromber. Got to figure out who's going to be then that 3-hole. But Jason Alexander has at least made that conversation a little bit more difficult, keeping him out.
Yeah, definitely. And he's got a very his ground ball percentage is 44.9%. He's basically in the top third of the league. And like I mentioned, versus the Yankees, I mean, that's a matchup that if you play New York, if the Yankees are in the playoffs and you end up in a series with them, you definitely got to look at that. He threw a shutout against them. He only gave 3 walks.
A lot of right-handed hitters.
Yeah.
And yes, he's kind of like Fromber from the other side, that he is a ground ball machine when he's got that sinker and changeup going the way it is. And that's what you want those big dudes doing. It's hard to hit a home run when you hit the ball in the grass.
It is. It is very hard to hit a home run. But Jason Alexander, I think, has been a nice revelation for the Astros because, I mean, the injury bug has hit them hard. They're still, the pitchers when they come back, and we'll get into that probably in our next Back to the Bullpen, talking about, Javier. But Jason Alexander, I think, is a welcomed addition. I know he's probably very thankful the Astros picked him up.
Oh, no doubt.
And
I mean, even if he was pitching well, he'd be pitching not in Oakland. He'd be pitching for the Athletics.
Right.
And, you don't know what that means. I mean, he pitches well through the end of this season. You don't know if the Astros, what the plans are for him, but he's at least showed that he can get big league hitters out, and he can do it at a pretty good rate.
He is what we call a legit big league pitcher. And so that wraps up our second episode of Mike's Mechanics, just going in, doing a deep dive into this journeyman, Jason Alexander. Mike, as a relief pitcher of 19 years in the major leagues and all the different teams you were on, I'm sure you saw your share of guys that would come up and be late bloomers and make these starts.
Oh, sure.
But, it's always good to talk to you about just looking at this from a pitcher's perspective, because I know what fans think, but it's great to kind of get the endorsement of a former big league pitcher like yourself. So thanks for weighing in on Jason Alexander. And we got to see who we got to look at next, because as we get closer to the playoffs, there are guys like Lance McCullers, guys like Christian Javier, that you're wondering, are they going to contribute? And if they are, what value will they have? Because they've been up and they've been down.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. We are no longer talking about the long haul, the marathon of the big league season. The dog days are almost over. September's right around the corner, and now it's the sprint.
That's right. We are in it. And maybe we can start talking about what's going to actually happen. And maybe Mike won't say, Brett, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Well, with only a month left, it's kind of hard to get ahead of yourself. Now you can let the fanatic in you can let it go a little bit.
I appreciate that. I will take that from the old lefty right there. So this is Mike Stanton, the old 2-9er, big league, former big league pitcher, big league World Series champion, all-star as well. Mike, thank you for giving us your thoughts on Mr. Jason Alexander. Y'all have a good one, and make sure you subscribe to Wheelhouse Media, and make sure you check out our latest Back to the Bullpen. We are out.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home.